and welcome to Yep, King of the Hill podcast that's against Bill H.R. 57 to allow the importation of South American propane. I am Rob Couch.
And I am Ronnie Neely, and today we are talking about Season 1, Episode 3, The Order of the Straight Arrow.
Can you imagine how I'd have turned out if my dad had loved me no matter what?
Jeez, that'd be so horrible, Hank.
Oh no, gosh forbid.
Well, hey, in this episode, Hank and the guys take Bobby and some boys camping to recreate their own childhood experiences, earning badges for the Order of the Straight Arrow, but a whoop-ass stick and a snipe hunt embroils them in dead bird subterfuge.
All right, well, this episode originally aired February 2nd, 1997. I remembered them saying "We Montagne" like 1,000 times. Yes. So I'm thinking the episode's like,
repeat stuff, repeat stuff, repeat stuff.
But will I like it more?
Ooh.
These years later, revisiting it for the podcast.
That is the question.
It's a big mystery.
Whenever you hear "We Montagne," you're just like,
leave your stupid comments in your pocket.
That's right.
Well, hey, yeah, I mean, I echo your sentiments. This was never one of my favorites growing up. Now, of course, whenever it was on, I'd still watch it. Like, an episode of King of the Hill I'm not crazy about is still a good episode of TV, as we'll see with this one. I am excited to talk about this one, though, on the podcast, because this episode does some interesting things for this show, and it does lay a lot of groundwork going forward for the show that we haven't gotten in the previous two episodes. I do want to mention this episode dedicated to Victor Aaron, who voiced John Redcorn, who plays a small role in this episode. And Victor, I believe was in a car crash in 96. So he died about 5 months before this episode aired. So he died before Season 1 started airing. So Season 1, John Redcorn is a different guy than Season 2 and forward, who will be Jonathan Joss. Which I had no idea until years later after watching King of the Hill that they changed the voice for John Redcorn. And to another voice actor here, we are going to meet Randy, who is a friend of Bobby's. And Randy, in this episode, voiced by the writer of the episode, Cheryl Holiday.
Oh, really? I didn't even notice that.
Yeah, so we'll see Randy, also his dad, Eustace, is that his name? I can't remember.
Hey, useless.
Exactly that. So, yeah, not a favorite of ours, but I think it'll be a good time.
Well, yeah. I won't spoil that. I liked it. Okay.
Whoa, hey. Well, hey, Rob, what do you say we check the Yep Bystander and see what in the We Montagne was going on back then? We Montagne, thank you for listening to Yep, We Montagne. If you would like to support this podcast, there's one simple way to do that. Head on over to yeppodcast.com/support. For $10 a month, you get the occasional bonus episode from Rob and I. There's one in there right now where we are talking about the upcoming King of the Hill revival. We're trying to keep all that stuff over there because we don't want to bog these episodes down with speculation. But yeah, you can hear us talking about the upcoming King of the Hill revival. Alongside, we're talking about a bunch of other reboots and revivals that we sometimes like, usually dislike, and we'll get into why. Otherwise, for $5 a month, you get the full Yep episodes here. This week, that includes over 50 minutes for Order of the Straight Arrow. Rob and I are talking about all sorts of stuff. For example, my disgusting Pawn Stars addiction, Final Fantasy VII, or Vi? We don't know. Nobody knows. And we are going through all of these Saturday morning cartoons and children's programming the Saturday before Order of the Straight Arrow's premieres. It's a real 90s throwback. Rob and I, we found this crazy-ass show called Bailey Kipper's POV. It's insane. This little kid is like spying on his family. Here's us talking about it.
Close up on mom.
Hold on, he raps.
My name is Bailey Kipper. How do you do?
Oh, my.
Here's my secret video point of view.
Everyone remembers this. Is some genius kid, and he uses his genius. He's just a real whiz with electronics. He uses it to set up, now I'm forgetting what they call them, but eyeballs that are cameras. Cameras that look like eyeballs all over his own home to spy on his family.
Bailey Kipper? Are you still up in the attic?
Spyball number 208.
Spyball.
Good. Spyball number 311. Cool.
How horny is this kid? I'm curious. Like, okay, I got all these spy balls, and here's what I like to do is check out chicks.
He's like bathroom spy ball online.
Oh my God.
Sisters get like what the fuck is this little creep doing? I have to watch this show because one, the concept is crazy, and two, just the production is insane. Like all those little noises and like the dated graphics and the kids fucking rapping in the intro. I have to watch this show. Bailey Kipper's POV is absolutely insane. I'm so delighted I found it because of Yep. If you would like to hear all of that and more, yeppodcast.com/support, links in the description of this podcast episode. Let's go get our wee Matanye on, huh? All right, so hey, we get a cold open in the alley. We're in the alley this time.
For the first time, right? Am I misremembering?
We were in the alley a bit in Square Peg. But to me, this feels more like, I don't want to say urgent. That's a little over the top. But it's like, we do start, the guys are standing there drinking in the alley. I think in Square Peg, they are cutting like a tree down or something like that, right? Like they're doing something out there. Regardless, though, we open up, we're in the alley. It's, the alley we know and love. And Hank tells the guys that he and Dale are taking Bobby and Joseph and some other boys out camping for Order of the Straight Arrow. And they reminisce about their own experience back in 1966 when Cotton and their dads sent them on a snipe hunt.
Yeah, we get to see them as kids.
Yes.
And they bust out some Bloody Mary mix.
Yeah.
We see the label. It says just add alcohol. But they're talking about how they're going to get all smashed and they're making plans for their futures. This is kind of a longer clip, but goddamn, what a great scene this was.
Snipe!
Shut up, Dale. There is no snipe. I heard my dad talking to your dad.
So what are we doing out here?
We're gonna get snackered. I tell you what, boy, man, I want to get old messed up and just pollute our mind. It's like 3 sheets of dang old wind, man.
Ooh.
When I grow up, I'm gonna drink this stuff every day, just like my dad, and fly
Oh my
jets and
gosh.
maybe even be an astronaut.
I'm gonna live in London and be a rich millionaire and have people killed.
I'm going to sell propane and propane accessories, if my grades are good enough.
Back to the present.
Kids and their crazy dreams.
I'm so depressed I can't even blink.
Oh my gosh. Well, we didn't get to hear anything from Boomhauer and what he wanted to grow up to be. And that is a theme throughout the show where we never really learn what he does. But I think it's like the last episode, at least as of this recording, where we see his ID and he's like a sheriff or something like that. He's like a
Texas Ranger.
Yeah, Texas Ranger, yeah. But yeah, it's cool because we get this flashback where we see Cotton and he's talking to them about Order of the Straight Arrow. And we see the other guys' dads, who are basically just like different older versions of them.
Yeah.
As opposed to Cotton, who really does, he looks kind of like Hank a little bit, like you could see how that would be his dad, but they are not carbon copies of each other like these other dads are. And this is the only time I think we see those characters. And in fact, we do see Dale's dad, I know, in at least one other episode, and it's a completely different like character. It's not who we see here, but still fun to see these guys. And to me, and my wife Hannah pointed this out too, is it's like we learned these guys have been friends since they were kids. I don't know if that's been established really at this point, but we see them really little, all hanging out together. And it's so cool that they grew up to all live like right next to each other. Like how fucking cool is that? Like to me, it seems like they all came out all right, especially Hank, who did grow up to sell propane and propane accessories like he wanted to when he was a kid.
I love Bill, and I love seeing him as a little kid. Just we find out his dad's just getting drunk all the time, I guess.
I drink this every day,
just like my dad. I love all their voices.
Yeah, just so fascinating to see these characters. And back to Cotton, we are 3 for 3 now of seeing him in a flashback.
Yeah.
They almost make him like this unbelievable character because every time we see him so far, he's crazy as hell in these flashbacks to where you're like, this couldn't possibly be a guy. Like, this couldn't be a character. But sure enough, he's like just as crazy once we do meet him as he is in all these flashbacks.
There they are, grown up. They want to take the boys out, right? So they're saying like, oh, we could dunk their hands in water to make them piss. Boomhauer suggests that.
Yeah, he talks about that.
Hank's like, no, we need some new ideas because they're trying to mess with the kids. It's like a rite of passage is the premise of the episode is, yeah, you know, your father fucks with you and stuff, but that is part of growing up and is ultimately good for you. Kind of a two-parter here. First, Joseph runs up to ask his father Dale something, while John Redcorn is pulling up to the house.
Dad, can me and Bobby bring life preservers?
If you want to be sissies.
He said yes.
Hey, Dale, there's your wife's,
Healer.
yeah, John Redcorn. Let's get some funny Indian stuff to do.
Let's get some funny Indian stuff.
Yeah. I pulled that Joseph clip too. I wasn't sure if you were gonna have that or not. So I love that so much. Yeah, he's like, if you want to be sissies, he said yes. But I saw this on Reddit the other day. This is not my idea. That they always call him by his full name, John Redcorn. They don't just call him John. It's always John Redcorn, which is interesting.
Yeah.
I never really picked up on that. And my thought was because, like, oh, he is, as they put it, an Indian. Maybe they're just trying to seem cultural by saying his last name. But they don't do that with Con and Min and Connie, maybe because they can't pronounce their last name.
You're right.
I never thought about that before. They always say the full name, John Redcorn.
Yeah, no, I never thought of that either. I mean, I think that it does. It fits in with what he is on the show. To them, he is this strange Indian.
Right.
So,
but they're buddies with him, so they can, like...
they're kind of buddies, right? Like, I don't know what all goes on later, but for now, he seems like he really is just this entity that comes around, and they all know that he's fucking Nancy, and they got to keep that a secret from Dale. And but as far as I can tell, so far, right, they don't really know John Redcorn or
right. But they will approach him to talk about, again, as they say, some good Indian stuff.
Give me some of that good Indian stuff.
Our rituals are considered sacred and are passed down only in the nation.
Oh, well, that don't bother us.
Hell no. We'll take a sacred one.
I love the delivery. Hell no. We'll take a sacred one.
Yeah, like, oh, that's all right. You can give it to, like, they think he's like warning them or something along those lines, where they're like, oh, we don't mind. Yeah. We don't mind misappropriating your culture. That's fine.
So Redcorn does go into some of the stuff that he was taught by his own elders, and Hank's taken notes about, for example, Wematanya, which I think John Redcorn says Wematanya.
Oh, Wematanya.
And then Hank's like, Wematanya, yeah.
Yeah, exactly. And that's how it's pronounced for the rest of the episode. Well, I do have a clip here from Bill where he has some ideas. And I pulled this clip because I know that you're interested in Bill. And I think this is our first time kind of seeing how fucked up his life is.
Well, I got a bunch of ladies' tennis socks we can use for spirit bags. I got them in a divorce. Now every time she plays, she gets blisters.
It's been 6 years, Bill. Don't you think she'd have bought some new socks by now?
He's just like, And that does come back. The socks do come back, which I love that they did that. Yeah, I think that might be our first time seeing Bill, like, learning more about his situation in a real way. Like, in the first one, we don't really get any Bill. In the second one, we learn, like, that he's in the military, and he...
Really not his defining stuff, right? Here's Bill getting defined for us. Which, if I'm, sort of half-ass tracking, how do I feel about an episode that I didn't necessarily love? Well, I sure do like getting Bill, for one thing.
Exactly, yeah.
And in such great ways. I mean, I'm so depressed. Like, I'm going to drink this every day like my daddy, and I'm so depressed, and I've got my wife's socks, and he's so fucking proud. Like,
he's like, she gets blisters still. Like, he thinks he's fucking her over by having these socks in his possession.
I mean, this guy said 3 sentences this episode. It's amazing.
Yeah, you get so much background to this guy. Again, to this episode is we just learning about, spending more time with these other characters that the first 2 episodes didn't really focus too much on them.
Yeah, that's right. Oh my goodness. You remember the Friends scene? The Friends doll scene? I love these Bobby and Joseph scenes.
Yeah, they're so great.
They're in a tent in Bobby's bedroom, and they're anticipating what this camping trip's going to be like, what they're going to have to do, right, as part of their earning whatever badge they got to earn for this Order of the Straight Arrow. And so we get to drop in on the boys.
It's supposed to be hard. I heard they make you walk on hot coals, and then you have to eat them. Ew! After you walk on them?
You have to eat the hot coals, and Bobby's like, after you walk on them? It's like, yeah, also they're going to burn you.
Yeah, they're going to be, like, impossible to eat, and they're going to destroy your digestive system. But yeah, it's also a little gross.
I mean, these sweetheart dummies, I feel like that you feel safe, right? You think your dads are going to take care of you. So it is kind of like roller coaster, haunted house style, horror movie style, like enjoying being afraid and nervous, but like you actually think you're safe, so you can just enjoy it. And so like they're, in a way, it seems to me like you're kind of playing along, pretending a little bit, like you're buying into the pretend. So it's like, oh, we're gonna have to do this. Like maybe part of them kind of believes it because they're naive, but then also it seems like part of it, if I'm imagining myself at that age, you're just kind of like going along with it and enjoying like the fantasy of what this is going to be. But you're like, you're not even good at that. So like, you're going to have to eat hot coals. Oh, like you're trying to make sense of the joyride you're going to be on, the roller coaster of horrors that awaits you. And it's like, oh, after you walk on them, I don't know. There's something very like childish and naive and sweet about getting swept up in the event that you're going through.
You know, I want to address that. Like, who do you think that Joseph heard this from? Dale had to have told him this. Yeah, exactly. So also, like, you've got your dad ostensibly or presumably telling you this. So that's why, like, they're believing it. But, like, they're supposed to be, like, 12 years old here, or maybe 11. So, like, they're not mature enough to know, like, you can't, like, that's not going to happen. Like, you can't eat hot coals, right? Like, it's preposterous. But since they're so ignorant, they're so young, like, they're playing into this fantasy of it.
Yeah, and I guess that's what I kind of stumbled into and was having a hard time explaining. But like, do they know?
Right.
Does part of them know that that's ludicrous, but they are enjoying the fun of what this is? Like, oh my gosh, we're going to have to do all this terrible stuff. Meanwhile, they probably feel like they're not really going to have to do terrible, terrible stuff, right? Because they're going to be safe and it's going to be fun. Or are they just fucking dumb and they think they're going to have to walk on hot coals and eat them?
It could be either. Yeah, it could be both. I do want to say that to the beginning of that scene, we do have Bobby's only badge is a sewing badge, and it fucking falls off as he's talking about it.
For me, I remember experimenting with saying fuck in as many different ways as I could as like an 8 or 9 year old. They're pretty old maybe to be tinkering with profanity, but here we go.
Hell, that's hot. Hell, you're not kidding. Fuck.
Pardone, mate? Did I just hear what I almost heard?
I was gonna say, forget about it.
Son, Peggy Hill knows half a swear word when she hears one. Now go to sleep.
You had the coolest mom. She smells like Miracle Whip.
So there's a little bit of seeing Joseph being kind of a creep, which he is from time to time.
Oh, is he creepy there? I just kind of read it as like innocent, and you might crush on a friend's mom and stuff like that. Oh, maybe I've just been a creep my whole life.
Rob, this is an intervention. No, see, I don't even mean it. I want to be clear. I don't mean it in like I don't want to say sexual way, but like you get what I mean. Like, kind of like that. To me, it's just a weird thing to say.
Yeah,
that your mom is cool because she smells like Miracle Whip. Like, it's so bizarre. Oh, I should say. What they're doing at the beginning of that clip is they have the flashlights in their mouth because they're sitting there in the tent with flashlights. They put them in their mouths and they're kind of playing chicken of like who can hold it in their mouth the longest. And also at the beginning of the episode, we did see them playing with drills, like power drills, running at each other like they're fucking around in the backyard too. So a lot of nice Bobby and Joseph moments here. Again, to being in a tent, I couldn't help but play you my favorite tent joke, which I'm guessing, Rob, you like as well.
I got into an argument with a girlfriend inside of a tent. That's a bad place for an argument, because I tried to walk out and slam the flap. How are you supposed to express your anger in this situation? Zipper it up really quick. Fuck you.
Fuck you. Oh, good old Mitch Hedberg. But yeah, fun to see them. Boys being boys, right? They're about to swear to each other, and Peggy stops it.
It's some of my favorite stuff in these early episodes so far.
Yeah.
Just Bobby and Joseph.
Just being buddies.
Luann is leaving town to attend her mom's arraignment.
Mm-hmm.
And, of course, the guys are all taking the boys camping. And so Peggy, in this episode, has her own little B story that unfolds, and we don't quite know what's going on. Here, when everybody's heading out, she seems excited.
Have a good time. Here's a fun saver. Take lots of pictures.
Gosh, Peg, if I didn't know better, I'd think you were anxious to see us go.
Well, that is not true. You and Bobby are my whole life.
Come on, kids, let's go.
Just like, yeah, you're right. She's so obviously trying to get people out. But unfortunately, and there is a reason I'm bringing this up, once Hank goes to drive away because he's taking Peggy's car.
I'll see you Sunday, Peg.
Okay, yeah. All right, bye-bye.
Damn it. Looks like we're delayed a couple hours. I gotta charge up the battery. So first of all, charging a battery does not take a couple hours. You only need to do it for like 10 minutes. You need to get the battery going because when you're driving, you're going to recharge the battery while you're driving, and they're going on
which is what they do. So yeah, why not just jump it?
Right, exactly that. So this kind of the reason I want to bring this up is because we go back to what we were talking about in Pilot, which is, does Hank really know that much about cars? There is like a visual gag because they're in the driveway when this happens. The car doesn't start. Well, then we just instantly cut to the alley and the car's already in the alley, and then Peggy's like pushing it or whatever.
Yeah. She says pop the clutch.
Yeah, which her car seems to be an automatic, which doesn't really... But regardless, the point is, the reason I wanted to bring this up, Peggy's the one who kind of gets them going, right? Like, Hank is supposed to be this mechanically minded man with Bill, Dale, and Boomhauer also there. And Peggy's the one who gets the car fixed so that they can go. So I just thought that was a little interesting point on this theory that we have, that maybe they're not so good with cars.
Yeah, which I don't know. I mean, stuff like that, like obviously it's whatever, you just roll with it. But part of me is kind of like, well, wait a minute, come on, who are these characters? Mm-hmm. I like that it's grounded in reality, and then sometimes it's like the gag maybe overtakes. It
supersedes, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, any continuity.
Which is, again, totally fine.
That's fine, yeah. Yeah, as long as the joke is funny, then whatever. But yeah, I mean, to wrap up Peggy's whole storyline, I do think it's best just to explain it now because in the episode it works. When you see it visually, it's great because we keep cutting to Peggy. She's up to something. We don't know what it is. Doesn't make for the best podcast conversation to keep pulling away from our main story to just see her driving, you know what I mean? So yeah, she drives off and takes great pains to cover her tracks and disguise her identity. They build the mystery of what she's up to until the third act, which is, it turns out she's pretending to be from Mexico, and she goes to a store in Lubbock called Lubbock's Very Big Shoes. Fashions for the large-footed lady, where the owner knows her and sets her up with some zapatas.
Amigo, it is time for some new zapatas, or shoes as you say in your country.
Or shoes as you say in your country.
So she's pretending to be Mexican.
Now let me tell you, I am such a dingbat that I didn't actually like piece together the puzzle as it was given to us, right? I'm like, okay, she stayed in a hotel. She's using an assumed name. She refers to this guy's country. He looks Hispanic or something, you know?
Right.
So like for a second, I'm like, wait, so she went to Mexico? Meanwhile, it's Lubbock. The old Minnesota Ronnie over here calling it Lubbock.
Lubbock, yeah.
Lubbock, where Texas Tech University is. That and dirt and wind. That's what's in Lubbock.
Okay. Well, you know what? I looked up Lubbock. That's how we pronounce it up here. And I was like, oh, let's see what that sounds about. First of all, it's about 5-6 hours from where Arlen is theoretically at. So that's how far she was driving.
Peggy drove 6 hours.
Each way.
Yeah. And used an assumed name.
She stays at a motel, a Motel 7, I think it is.
But so have we said, right? It's for the big-footed lady, she gets some big fucking shoes.
Size 16s, yeah.
Triple E, whatever that means. I don't know if that's a real thing. I assume it's like extra wide though, right?
You would think.
So some big old honkin' clown shoes she gets from this dude who knows her, had ideas ready to go for what she might like some kind of faux alligator thing. And then, I don't know if we have it in the notes, you know, the tag scene of the episode is she's home. She puts the shoes in a microwave box to smuggle them into her home, pretending that it's a microwave.
Right. See, I thought that was the actual... Well, I want to say at the shoe store, the guy's like, oh, I'll have... He lists 2 guys' names. Yeah. He's like, I'll have them bring it out to your car. Like, it takes 2 dudes to carry this out.
Just a big old heavy box of
yeah. But no, I didn't realize she was putting them in a different box, but I think you might be right on that.
I think that's what she says to Hank as she's filing the one off.
Yeah, the one off, so it just looks like a 6.
and then Hank makes he says like, well, this family goes through microwaves faster than some people go through shoes.
Yeah, exactly that.
So I love that. I mean, one, the way the story unfolds for Peggy is fun. It's fun to wonder what she's up to. And I think the payoff is pretty funny and great and helps us learn about her, here in these early episodes. Of course, Square Peg gave us a lot of insight into who she was, and I really enjoyed that.
Yeah.
But so here, it's like kind of played for jokes that she has these huge shoes, but of course, you're also learning who she is and the fact that she's so self-conscious about it. She's a proud woman. You got to think that some of her weird, like more egomaniacal tendencies are probably also growing out of a degree of insecurity and so forth, right? And like all that is playing into this like fun little B story.
Right, exactly that. And I do have some more thoughts on that, but I'll save it for the end because that's like our last part of the episode is seeing the resolution to that.
Yeah.
So that's kind of Peggy's story wrapped up. But yeah, the guys and the boys, they head out to the lake and it's a rough trip. Hank and the guys tell the boys about like the sacred Wimatanye. And so now the boys are just saying it non-stop. And Rob, that gets on your nerve alongside Hank's.
Well, that's the thing, right? So it's like, all right, Order of the Straight Arrow. I'm like, oh, fuck, the Wimatanya episode, great. Because all I'm thinking of is this trip, this part.
Yes.
Right? Where it's every sentence, Wimatanya, something fucking something, Wimatanya. I'm like, oh my God. I don't think I remembered that Hank hates it too. So,
yeah, that's a point. It's supposed to be annoying. Yeah.
Yeah. And that does help. Like when I'm watching it and I'm like, oh yeah, me and my guy Hank, we both fucking hate this shit. And he's the stand-in for me where he's like, all right, that's enough. And so he strategizes a bit. He gives them silent sticks to shut them up.
Okay. The 24-hour oath of silence starts now. Here are your silent sticks.
Those are Slim Jims.
That's what the white man calls them. Wimatanya calls them silent sticks to test your spirit of shutting up.
So I am being able to identify with Hank helps. It helps me get over the annoyance I have with the repetition. You like a Slim Jim?
Oh, yeah!
Oh, yeah! Yeah, I don't mind Slim Jims. I know the other show I podcast about Aqua Teen Hunger Force has done some Slim Jim ads. I've had a few. I've never used them as... camping sticks, though, in this way. But I do want to let you know that Wimatanya is said, according to the King of the Hill fandom wiki, 39 times throughout the episode. But as annoying as that car ride is, we do get that classic scene of Dale's mooning them out the window, and then Boomhauer loses control of the car, and then Dale's like smacking his ass across all these bushes. Which I know is used in like a lot of promos and stuff for King of the Hill, which really presents the show in like a goofier way than it really is.
That's true.
Like this is like a rare moment for King of the Hill, but of course they use it to promote the show. I could see people being disappointed when they tune in and it's not all this, but when you do get moments like this, it's like so fucking funny.
Hey, put on the show where the guy gets his ass hit. I love a good tree limb ass smack. Let's get to it. And they're like, well, that's such a fucking small part of it. What's this bird?
Yeah, what's this Wimatanya business? Why do they keep saying it so many times?
Wimatanya, I see Texas, Wimatanya.
All right, that's it.
So Hank's like, everybody shut up for 24 hours. It starts now. And then Bobby, man.
Right now?
Bobby, son, you just talked. Now I'll let that pass, but don't talk again.
Which I love. There's a little bit more, but I love that moment. Mm-hmm. And it's important to where this whole thing is going, where Bobby is like looking at Hank lovingly, gratefully, like, oh, that's my dad letting me off the hook because I talked when I shouldn't have. And so what does he do?
Thanks, Dad.
Son, give me that Slim Jim.
Oh my God. I mean, it is kind of sad because up until look, I get it. They're being annoying, but up until this point, the boys are having a lot of fun, it seems like, that they're all goofing around. And again, we have Joseph, Bobby, and then two other kids that we've just met. Really, they have to kind of pack this fucker out because Bill and Boomhauer don't have kids.
Yeah.
So they have to bring on these like two random kids. Although we do learn Randy, his dad, Eustace, was in the Order of the Straight Arrow with the guys when they were all kids together. So there is like, yes, some of that there. And I do want to put a pin in Boomhauer having kids because there is a character we will see later at Bobby's school who's called by the fans Kid Hauer because he looks like he could be Boomhauer's son.
And, he's like a ladies' man, right?
As we will see in this episode.
I like that they go, Hank is encouraging all the kids to do the right stuff, like shut up and everything. He's like, you don't want to end up like Randy's dad. And then Randy's like, my dad's a successful whatever the fuck. And Hank goes, not in the eyes of Wee Tanya.
Yeah, I guess I read that there's a deleted scene where we see Randy's dad with like a really nice sports car or something like that. So we see he's like is very successful, but like these four guys still hate him from when they were kids.
They get to the campgrounds and it's jam packed with people. Now all that congested traffic just to get into the campgrounds, is that all related to these hippies that are there? Like protesting whatever environmental shit, they want to save this and that species and in pollution and everything. Is that what all the cars are there for? Or is it just more a general comment on like how glutted?
I take it as the latter. I take it as just like a general comment because there weren't that many. Like I think they had like buses and stuff for the hippie people, so like they didn't all have their own cars, which would be very hypocritical as we learn they are very environmentally focused. If they all drove there individually, it'd be kind of weird.
We do see some hippies out there talking about endangered animals and whatever else. This lady, and listen, I'm a real perceptive fella, at least sometimes. I knew she was braless before Hank mentioned it.
Ooh, eagle-eyed viewer.
Oh, I'm like, look at that. Fuck, look at the nipple. All right.
You're eagle-eyed. I am eagle-eared. And picked up that was Kathy and Jimmy.
Oh, I know.
Doing that. Because otherwise, there's not much Peggy in this episode. So I assume they're like, all right, you do this character too so that you have more lines.
I was distracted by that, though.
I find myself always a little distracted whenever Kathy is doing these other voices. Because it's always like she's doing a different voice, but it's so obviously,
subtly
undeniably
different.
her that it's always like, oh, that's Kathy. But I'm not mad about it.
She's talking into a bullhorn, talking about like, we're saving this. And it ends a bit of a punchline where she's like, and plus we've
eliminated 300 logging jobs. And people start clapping.
Yeah. Which is kind of interesting, right? Like the show, like these people probably have decent ideas about wanting to preserve nature and everything like that. But also they are, in this case, celebrating that they are fucking up people's lives. Right. And then you get into the debate of like, well, maybe those lives, like those folks need other jobs because this, the mining is bad, whatever. It gets complicated, right? We're hearing some of that. She ends her thing through the bullhorn saying, the brown herbal ecstasy is bad, which is like a reference to Woodstock, in the famous documentary where they're saying like, don't take the brown acid. And Dale's pulling a case of Alamo beer out of the trunk of the car. And I just like that we kind of see that, like, here's Dale with all this beer, and in the background, here's these hippies talking about taking ecstasy. We're not all so different. I'm saying beer is ecstasy.
They're very comparable, yes.
Oh, man, what kind of lefty hootenanny is this?
Look at that one bouncing around in front of God and everybody. Would it kill a tree if she wore a bra?
Would it kill a tree if she wore a bra? We hop over and we hear Joseph is at this point kind of out of nowhere, right? Where did he pick up the skepticism? But he thinks all the spiritual stuff is probably bullshit.
Yeah, I think he's just picking up because like they're still not supposed to talk. And I think he's kind of like realizing that it's like why, it's just dumb that they can't talk, basically.
But Bobby's got faith in Hank.
I'm beginning to think this silence thing is just so we don't bother them.
They're not testing anything except for how dumb we are. It's all a trick. My dad wouldn't trick us.
My dad wouldn't trick us.
My dad wouldn't trick us.
We then pan over and we see the four guys standing there. It's kind of like a scenic shot of them like standing on like this, I think it's like a cliffside or something. And they're like holding up their beers and like, we Matanya or something like that. So like Bobby sees that thinking like, oh, they really do believe in this.
Right.
But really like then we cut to them and they're just like talking shit or whatever. They're just like, yeah, it's all bullshit.
Yeah, it's all a goof to them, right?
Right.
Like, huh, we Matanya.
Yeah.
And they're just drinking their
fucking
beers.
Idiots. Yeah, exactly that. Yeah, exactly that. So Joseph, very perceptive, pretty intelligent here to pick up on this.
The old guys, though, the dads, the alley guys, they want to get rid of these boys to drink some beer. So they do send them on a snipe hunt, which is what that earlier flashback scene was.
Yes.
Was them going on a snipe
when they were
hunt,
boys.
right?
Yeah, that's what they were supposed to be doing.
Yeah, so he's like, here's some whoop-ass sticks.
Yeah.
And then you got to go, what is it? Woo-loo-loo-loo, or whatever.
Yeah, they have like a little chant they have to do.
And I love, Hank's like, yeah, that'll keep him busy for a while. And then right away, Bobby...
he comes out instantly.
Fucking clubs something.
Yeah.
And it turns out to be a whooping crane.
Now you done it. Now you really gone and done it.
What do you mean you? We're all in this together.
Whoa, no. Me and Boomhauer came on our own trip in our own conveyance. You and I may be acquainted, but we are not traveling companions. I'm merely here to enjoy Earth Day and play some hacky sack.
Dale, I'm gonna need you to give me the keys now.
So I love that Dale's immediately, as soon as there's trouble, they're like, oh, he killed that's a whooping crane, and there's only 5. Dale goes, there's only 5 of those in the world. Well, 4.
Right. No, but I mean, this is big insight to Dale, right? Because we see how quickly he will ditch not only his lifelong friends, but his own fucking son. He is prepared to ditch them. And
true.
when they get there, he's like, oh, what's this liberal hootenanny? And now he's like, I'm here to play hacky sack with those guys. Like,
That's right.
He is not aligned to anybody but himself. And we saw it a little bit in Square Peg where he's like, giving Peggy death threats.
Yeah.
But to a huge extent here, which we will see throughout the series, of Dale is not a loyal friend whatsoever. But I do want to say, I learned today that, they're hunting snipe, which is a bird, and they're known as like this hard to kill bird. That's where the term sniper comes from, which I didn't know. I only really know snipers from video games. And I'm like, I got to get a sniper and snipe somebody. But I guess it comes from the term of shooting the birds.
Really? So wait, there is a real bird called a snipe?
Yes.
I didn't know that, and I didn't know that that's where the word sniper came from.
Yes, sir. Yeah, they're it's a wading bird, and it's a little guy, and I guess they're hard to shoot, so that's kind of where that all comes from.
Huh? Yeah, that's all new to me. I like that we're educational, a little educational.
Yeah, I'm gonna apply for some like educational funding for this podcast. I will say I looked into the whooping crane territories, like where they are at, which is spoilers. What Bobby used his whooping stick to get a whooping crane.
Right.
There are some in Texas in that area. So this is an actual thing that Bobby could have done.
I thought a snipe was just a fake thing that's used in this situation where you want to send people on a snipe hunt because they're going to be hunted. It's like a wild goose chase. Although I guess wild geese are real too.
Yeah, they're real too. So I think that might be the case where again, snipe are known as like hard birds to shoot. So I think that's just why. Like, okay, yeah, go get the snipe when maybe there are some there, but their person's not going to get them.
I love the way Dale phrases that stuff.
Yeah, he has it worked out in his head, how he's going to disassociate himself.
I love that he says that he came in his own conveyance. I love that word in that situation.
Yeah.
He's all conspiratorial and a coward, weasel, like you said. And now he's going to get literate.
Yeah, then he pulls out the legal jargon. Absolutely. Well, so Bobby, he's got a whooping crane. They know this is an endangered bird. In the morning, a park ranger comes around looking for the whooping crane because it's tagged and it's trackable, and the park ranger's tracking it. And so we get this great kind of almost tense scene where Hank says he hasn't seen it. And the way that the park ranger talks is so funny. He describes the bird as
very rare and beautiful.
Very rare and beautiful.
Rare and beautiful.
The way this guy talks, man. Now I went and looked because on IMDb, I don't think anybody's credited as the ranger. Did I miss that? I went over to the fan wiki deal, and they're saying the park ranger's played by Johnny Hardwick.
I could see it.
Yeah, I was surprised and impressed if that's true.
Yeah. We could be totally wrong. I could see that being him, though. So, yeah, I love it because, Hank's dealing with this. He's all nervous, and the whooping crane is in their cooler at that point. So Hank, sits down in the cooler. It's the morning now, of course. Hank sits down in the cooler. He's putting his shoes on. He, doesn't want the park ranger to come near here. I do want to say in the background, we see Boomhauer comes out of his tent, and the hippie woman from earlier comes out with him, kisses him on the cheek, and then runs away. So that shows, Dale's these liberal hootenanny, but Boomhauer only has one agenda in all of this, and it's to get it on. Back to our Kid Hauer talk earlier.
Yeah.
But so again, very believable. He could have a kid out there. I think they might have talked about him being a womanizer in Square Peg. I can't entirely remember right now, but we do see it here that he is this ladies' man.
And the ranger asked Boomhauer, do you know anything about this whooping crane?
So funny.
Sir, do you know anything about this?
Yeah, man, I'll tell you what, doing one of them snipe hunts last night, man, with them sticks in the bag and them whack, man, we'd go woo-loo, talking about that. Big mistake, y'all. It's right there in that cooler.
Well, if you do see anything, you can contact the ranger station.
He fucking tells the guy everything that happened, but the guy didn't understand it. Well, if you see anything, you can contact the ranger station.
And then here comes Dale. You know, he was trying to leave. So at one point they're like, all right, well, let's all go to sleep and we'll deal with this in the morning. And Dale's like, yeah, we'll all go to sleep. Like he's clearly going to make his escape.
Yeah.
I skipped that part, but then Hank's like, Bill, take his pants.
Yeah, they really lock him down, and Bill complies with everything that Hank is saying in that situation.
He's kind of the enforcer, right?
Mm-hmm.
And I want to say that's a role that he'll play from time to time. Hank's kind of the leader, and one way that he can like retain his power among his friends is that Bill is, I think, basically loyal and will do what Hank says, including
for the most part,
keeping Dale from being able to flee.
Yeah, which is great because then Boomhauer, of course, tattles on them. He tells them everything, but luckily no one can understand Boomhauer.
It's fun thing about the dynamics because nobody can understand. So maybe on the one hand, it's like, well, Boomhauer won't be a problem because he couldn't tell anybody if he wanted to. But also it's like, well, I can't fuck with Boomhauer. Like, you know, Boomhauer's a stud.
Yeah.
Dale, I can tell Dale what to do, especially with Bill's strong arm help.
Right, exactly that. Yeah. Boomhauer isn't going to really bend to anybody a whole lot, I don't anticipate. But the Ranger, again, he sees Dale stripped down to his tidy whities, and he chalks that up to the Order of the Straight Arrow. And he says, like, oh, it's like the same as when I was in it or something like that. So it's revealed he was in it too. That does bring us to a conversation point I want to get into with you is you weren't a Boy Scout, right?
No.
Neither was I. So, like, to me, this episode is like, this is a big part of what I understand Boy Scouts to be. Obviously, I know this is a ridiculous cartoon, but I wasn't in Boy Scouts, right? So I'd imagine somebody who was probably has a different relationship with this episode than you and I do.
Yeah.
I remember learning about Boy Scouts when I was in 5th grade, maybe, or maybe younger, probably. And I was like, you mean you guys don't just go home and watch TV? What's that like?
I had a friend who was at least a Cub Scout early on and then probably a Boy Scout. I don't think he saw it all the way through to Eagle Scout or anything. But he was a Boy Scout. He played all the sports. I always refer to him like he was a real boy. I was home watching TV. He was out doing stuff, including Boy Scouts. That was my only contact with it. I don't remember him ever telling me much about it. I don't think I ever tagged along to any kind of event.
Sure.
Now I'm married to a Mormon. You know who loves the goddamn Boy Scouts?
Oh, Mormons do.
The Mormons, yeah. So I got at least one, maybe two brothers-in-law who are Eagle Scouts.
My buddy Andy, I want to shout Andy out. I'm sure he'll be listening to this because he loves King of the Hill. He was an Eagle Scout, so I did help him very briefly. He had to do like some final project when he was like 17 or 18 or something for it. And his dad was, I think, their leader. So like I'm sure maybe he relates to this episode on a different level than you and I would.
Yeah.
But he was cleaning up some like path kind of by my house. So I showed up and helped out for like very briefly with that. So I've heard about Boy Scouts and Eagle Scouts from him. But yeah, otherwise to me it's this totally foreign thing. I don't know if I would have done that as a kid. I might have tapped out of that lifestyle. I would have wanted to just watch Friends.
Yeah, I mean, the big reason why I didn't do that or anything else was probably because my parents just worked and I was a latchkey kid and there wasn't a whole lot of time to do much of anything.
Mm-hmm.
But also, I don't know, like that ain't for me, man. It's probably a chicken and the egg situation, but as soon as some fucking scout leader was like, you should go do this, I'm like, don't tell me what to do. I'll fucking tell you.
Well, to shout out the Boy Scouts, though, Scouting America, the HQ is in Irving, Texas.
Is that right?
Yeah. Oh, and I should mention, apparently the Order of the Arrow is Scouting's National Honor Society. So there is a real organization called the Order of the Arrow. So I don't know if they were probably playing on it for this.
Yeah.
But again, like on the King of the Hill wiki, there were people saying like, oh, they do wear these like sticks around their necks at certain points. But I couldn't corroborate that with anything else looking up. So I don't know if that's true or not. I'm not the guy to ask about this, but they might be drawing something from real life from this. If anything, I have to wonder if, Cheryl Holiday wrote this. So I don't know if she was in like Girl Scouts or anything. I don't know where she got that idea from, but I have to wonder like how many real life inspirations are coming into this episode. Yeah. Obviously, any of those references are going to be lost on you and I. But maybe we can get one of your in-laws in here to ask him about it.
All right, so the Ranger goes off. He, nothing to see here as far as he can tell. And off he goes, and the guys are going to try to deal with this bird dead body.
Yeah.
But a couple of the hippies see them transporting the carcass, and so they have to make a whole getaway, and they're getting chased. Some of the guys, the hippie guys, kick hacky sacks at them at the car as it pulls away. Now, were you going to point out something about these hippies being hypocrites or something at this point?
We do see them breaking shit, like they step on some bird eggs.
Oh, yeah.
They're, breaking some of the, like, the foliage and stuff as they're running to, like, hey, get these nature haters. And then they're destroying nature in their, let's just say, incompetence. So again, they're trying to play to that liberal hypocrisy.
Yeah.
I don't know if they've pointed out like a right-wing hypocrisy, but the show in the first 2 episodes at least have taken its stance on these characters besides Dale aren't super right-wing people. They're more like central people. So they're trying to do the same thing here with these like hippies. I don't know how I feel about it because I feel like it's kind of a stretch, but it, it is a good point that surely there are people like this that do exist.
If you think about King of the Hill as being grounded in regular life, it's about regular people, and maybe that's loaded on its own, just being like, well, these are people who are normal.
Yeah.
Like if you're kind of detached from your day-to-day regular person's experience, I don't know how effective you're really going to be, So at least that, like, well, look at these people. Our heroes can't relate to these kinds of hippie liberals.
Mm-hmm.
And part of how you kind of highlight why that would be the case is like, because they're so caught up in what they're doing that they actually are oblivious to all the repercussions and everything, like lost jobs, which we can have mixed feelings about, or like actually doing some destruction to nature as they claim to be wanting to salvage it. It's like you're so off the deep end, perhaps, right? That you're not even doing the good work that we might want to give you credit for trying to do. So I think there's a way to kind of like accept what they're up to with these depictions. Even though I've always wanted to be a hippie.
Yeah.
You? Like when you had long hair, that's more of like a metalhead thing?
Yeah, that was more like a rock and roll kind of thing, man. Yeah, hell yeah. I don't know that it was...
Rock and roll like Crosby, Stills, Nash, and Young? Is that...
Yeah, no, probably more like you said initially, a metal thing was very much what I was into at the time. Yeah, I should go that route with it. And I guess that's kind of my problem with these depictions is it's like I do know many Dale Gribbles. I don't know any hippies. So that's why for me maybe it's harder to accept the criticism because I don't really know any people like the hippies that they're trying to mock here.
I want to be one.
So what kind of steps have you taken?
Stepping on birds' eggs and nests.
Oh, you've done that? All right.
Yeah,
well, you're halfway there.
Let me stomp on some eggs.
Do you have armpit hair?
I do.
Well, you're mostly there, Rob.
And I stink?
Well, I guess for me, growing up, my mom was Wiccan.
Oh.
So maybe there was some of that kind of hippie, love nature kind of stuff, but she wasn't doing no activism or nothing like that.
I just always wanted to be like alternative. I don't want to succumb to the temptation of corporate America and that kind of thing. Like I want to be, as a kid, I want to be like a cool slacker who doesn't give a fuck about mainstream society, and I'm on the road digging. That maybe would be the word I would use as I posture. Like I want to go dig the mountains.
Yes, hell yeah.
But I also love basketball and Saved by the Bell. So
those are it's oil and water there, Rob.
Yeah.
I don't know.
All right. Well, so they make their getaway. I mean, Hank is looking for a place to ditch this body, basically. So he pulls over at this like culvert, I guess you'd say. He tries to shove the bird into a drainage pipe, which is oddly narrow, and the bird won't fit. So they kind of have it off to the side, like the bird is lying there off to the side, dead, while the guys come up with new ideas for what to do. And Bobby on his own over here with the bird is doing some Wimatanye ritualistic healing stuff.
Yeah. No, so I want to touch on that because I love how we see Bobby is fucking running with this idea. Like he's inventing new aspects of this of this whole thing that is completely made up on the spot and completely all bullshit that's been presented to him. But again, he's like expanding this lore.
Yeah.
And he is so into this and so invested in this Wimatanye stuff.
So I think quite a bit goes on here with the guys and Bobby and everything until Hank finally blows up at him.
Brother Bird, I have given you a last flight and made my peace with you. I
I release your spirit to Wimatanya.
Like, where did he get the idea of a last flight for the bird, right? He's
Right.
just filling in the blanks, making up his own shit.
Yes, so we are seeing here in this episode how fucking creative Bobby is.
That's a good point.
And again, like, they run with that going forward. He is such a bright, like, this is crazy. He's supposed to be like 11, 12 years old coming up with all this stuff off the top of his head. Nobody taught him this. He is like pulling from what he's seen on TV or whatever to come up with all of this on his own.
The, what are the jerky boys called in this world? Probably they taught him this. I don't know.
Yeah, with their fart noises of tranquility.
Son, would you please knock it off? You're driving me nuts. There is no Wematanye. It's just some damn nonsense we made up to fill out the weekend. Tell him, Dale.
How do you know my name, Crane Killer? I never met any of you people
Crane
before
Killer.
in my life.
Tell him, Bill.
He's right, Bobby. It's all a crock. Those spirit bags of yours, just my ex-wife's old socks, and by the way, I want them back.
And by the way, I want them back.
Oh, I love it so much. Bobby is taking it so serious, and Hank isn't.
Right.
Right? And that's been the case the whole time. But like we see Bobby sticking up for his dad when Joseph raises questions. And so I really do appreciate the way that the groundwork is getting laid for this climactic final scene that we're gonna hear some snippets of how all this goes. It's another case where they really built up to this.
Mm-hmm.
Like, if you know how it all goes, you can go back, rewatch the episode, and you see how they are laying all the groundwork to lead up to the big final scene here, which I do really like. But I also like in that clip that we just heard, come on, man, Dale, right away. How do you know my name?
How do you know my name?
And then Bill, I love the delivery of, it's all a crock.
For them, the fun was lying to the kids, right? Like, that's like, we got lied to as kids. We want to lie. Like, that's a part of this. It's getting lied to by your parents. Kind of like Christmas, where you lie to your kid. I assume you guys did Christmas with Felix, Santa Claus and everything?
We told him right away there's no such thing as Santa Claus.
Really?
Yeah, I actually thought of Santa too, because that's like the classic example, right? Because I'm thinking about, well, here, let's listen.
Yeah.
Hank just said it's all bullshit. Here's poor sweet Bobby trying to be okay with that.
So, everything you said was all a lie?
Yes, that's the secret of the snipe hunt. That's the whole point.
Oh, I get it. I guess.
Oh, I just feel for Bobby. Like, oh, okay. He has been betrayed.
Yeah, big time.
By his hero. And just like, oh, okay. Like, in a way, he's even still coming from a faith that his dad knows best and is doing the right thing, right? Like, oh, okay, so if you made it all up, like, it hurts, but I think I can probably be okay with that. Like, it's like he's trying to be all right with it.
Right. Yeah, and that's the thing, like, for me, I don't know anything about Boy Scouts, this and that. So, like, for me, this episode is so divorced from, like, anything I've really experienced a whole lot of in my life. But the root of it is really, like, this father-son relationship between the two. And poor Bobby getting just really let down by his dad here.
And I guess that gets at where I was coming from and Rebecca when deciding what do we do about the Santa Claus thing. To me, it's fucking bonkers that part of our culture is right away lie to your kid.
Yeah.
I just never made any sense to me. There's not a lot in life that I've ever felt like I figured it out. But at some point, and I was a big old liar as a kid. Like, oh, my uncle has a huge mansion and we drive around the grounds in golf carts. I'm just making shit up. But at some point, 18 years old or something maybe, I'm like, you know what, dude? Lying is fucked up. And I'm not going to do it anymore, right? I always thought of it as I got to live my life in a way so that I never feel like I have to lie about it.
Mm-hmm.
And I haven't really done that. But I mostly try to be honest. And certainly you're raising a kid. It's like, look, I don't know how to raise a fucking kid. Who does? But at the very least, I feel like you need to be honest with the kid. And then you can figure out, like, I don't know if this came up with Square Peg, but like you can figure out like when is the right age to deal with certain things. But I'm not going to straight up fucking out of nowhere be like, hey, there's a fucking guy in a red suit and he's watching you. You better act right or else I'm not going to give you stuff. Never made any sense to me. So we just told him Santa Claus is a made up character. Don't tell anyone at school.
Huh. Wow. Okay. Let's get Felix down here then. I want to ask him about this. No, I mean, like, so for me, I remember I figured it out on my own. Like, I kind of pieced together that, like, okay, this doesn't line up. This doesn't make a whole lot of sense. I have to wonder,
somebody that was told by their parents, look, you're of the age. We were lying to you the whole time. Santa isn't real. How does that affect somebody subconsciously? Also, you're teaching children, be good so you can get materialistic things.
Right.
That's kind of interesting in itself.
You are being watched. You better behave or else you will not get toys. Crazy.
Bailey Kipper is watching you constantly. And you better be good. I understood with my parents, okay, this is something that everybody does. So I didn't take it personally or anything like that. I understood their perspective. With this specifically, with what Hank and Dale are doing to their sons, it's totally not necessary, and it's not a widespread cultural thing. So it's they're almost picking this thing to lie to their kids about.
Yeah, really.
Which, of course, makes it way worse than anything like Santa Claus related, I think, at least. Because it was just so unnecessary. They could have just gone camping with their kids, broke that cycle, had fun with their kids, and they could have taught them actual things. You know what I mean?
Well, they probably don't know those things, for one thing.
That is true. Yeah, as we've been speculating on it, that's exactly right. Yeah, so a very, very, very fascinating here, and seeing Bobby deal with this. Of course, as we wrap up the episode, it does kind of come full circle to where Bobby thinks he was right towards the end here.
Yeah, Hank tries to explain where he's coming from. I mean, he can tell that Bobby is feeling betrayed.
Bobby, I didn't mean to let you down. When Dale and Bill and Boomhauer and me went through this as kids, all the tricks and lies from our dads, they were part of the experience. It brought us all together, us against them.
Which, he's lifelong friends with those dudes, and they bonded in part through this experience. So I do like that even a dick like me would be like, why would you ever lie to your kids? That's bad. It's well, you hear here where Hank is coming from, and because it kind of played it's, we'll drink beers and goof on the boys, we'll fuck around with the boys, make them pee their sleeping bags or whatever, that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
But especially when he puts it that way, right? We bonded, and we have been watching them still bonded. We saw them as kids, united and together, and we've been watching them all episode as adults together. I mean, give or take Dale trying to bail on him. But even that, the dynamics of even that is these guys are lifelong, forever friends. Like you were saying, they all live near each other. It's really so if Hank in his mind is looking to put Bobby in a position to have those same kinds of bonds with other people, and doesn't know what it's like to have a father-son relationship that you would really want,
Right, yeah.
So it is kind of like Hank's trying to pass on, not just for his own entertainment with his buddies, but trying to pass on something that's been actually very incredibly meaningful to him. And just not even, it doesn't occur to him maybe that something else is possible between father and son because of his own experience,
Right, yeah, no, you're right. And I have come around on this in the last minute or two since we heard, Hank and then you explaining that, where yes, he knows that it wasn't right, for their parents to lie to them, but it made them closer, it made them stronger. They have these great memories around it, and so that's what he's trying to impart onto his son. But to Hank admitting this, it kind of goes back to Square Peg, where they were kind of breaking that generational cycle of nobody here knows anything about sex. Well, now they're breaking this as well, where it's maybe the way my dad raised me wasn't the best way to raise a kid. It's all I know because that was what I grew up with. But I'd be interested to see going forward, Hank moving away from Cotton's upbringing lessons that he gave to him. Because here it's he was just trying to go with the flow, but he's realizing almost in real time that it maybe wasn't the right thing or whatever, even though he had good intentions with it.
Yeah.
And he was this is what we had. I wanted to do this with you, but maybe it got us in this bad situation. If I never lied to you about this wouldn't have happened. Yeah.
Yeah. That makes me think of, with Square Peg, Hank finally breaks through when he's seeing what his approach to things is doing to the family and the relationships between the people, right? Bobby is judging Peggy, and Hank's now wait a minute. And in this case, he's oh, I thought I was doing something. We might give him credit for thinking he's doing something good, but now I see the way it's affecting my child, someone I care about. And it's that's what helps him snap out of it a little bit, especially here. He just said back in the day, their fathers fucking with them helped the boys, Hank and the boys, the guys. You know, it was us versus them, and so we bonded. And then here's Bobby's kind of sweet response to that.
I don't want to be against you. You're my dad. We're supposed to be on the same team.
Of course we're on the same team. You and me. And now Team Hill is going to bury that whooping crane together and get out of this park without getting caught.
You hear the cops pulling up.
Yeah.
But yeah, you know, I just love Bobby's like, I don't want to be against you. You know, I love that moment. I really like Bobby there.
Mm-hmm.
And then Hank is like pretty quick, right, to recognize obviously the value of that, and that's actually what he would want too. So he can run with that very easily.
I want to touch on at the beginning, you know, I think it was the first clip you played, right, where Hank says, "Can you imagine how I would have turned out if my dad had loved me no matter what?"
Yeah.
He tried to justify like that would have been a bad thing. I took it as like, oh, it's a good thing my dad didn't love me no matter what, right? Like that's kind of how he's saying it.
For sure.
Where yeah, you have people who go through these traumas or whatever, and they try and justify it as a good thing. And that's probably some sort of coping mechanism deep within us, where then he tries to justify these other behaviors to Bobby. But then when Bobby says stuff like that, Hank realizes, oh yeah, maybe that wasn't the right thing. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, so they are going to be teammates who bury the bird together.
But unfortunately, the ranger pulls up.
Yeah, they didn't get it done in time. So here comes some hippies who I guess maybe don't say anything at this point. I can't remember. But the park ranger certainly is like ready to bring them all in. You know, he's like, he says something like, you fooled me about the order of the straight arrow.
Yeah.
You know, he's like, I don't know what you did to this man in his underwear. He's going to bust them, you know, like they are in trouble. But then the whooping crane stands up, kind of shakes itself awake.
Majestically. It's a beautiful scene. Yeah.
And so here's the ranger now that he sees, because he goes, give me that bird. I need it for evidence. But then the bird's alive.
I guess knocking a crane unconscious isn't a crime, although it's probably not good for them. You're free to go.
It's probably not good for them.
That's the part of the episode that always stood out to me. It's probably my favorite line from the episode is, although it's probably not good for them.
So funny.
Yeah.
And the bird flies away.
Yeah. Bobby takes credit.
Yeah, he does. You know, like Hank is like, well, you knocked the bird out or whatever. You know, what does he say? Is he like, it's a miracle or something?
Yeah.
Bobby says. And then Hank's like, well, you just knocked it out. And Bobby's like, no, it was dead. He fucking says,
I'm a shaman.
Bobby takes credit, like all of his Wimatanye stuff. He's like, Wimatanye did it, Dad. And he thinks that all of his like water rituals he was doing on the bird previously to this were working. And again, like when they were driving away, Bobby has the whooping crane out the window. He's like, feel the air one last or whatever. Like Bobby is convinced at this point that he is the reason that the bird is okay, even though it's just all completely coincidence. And as we know, Wimatanye, as at least Bobby knows it, is not a real thing. Right?
Or is it?
I guess that's a good question. It's open-ended. I guess I can't say no for certain.
Yeah, we don't know.
Yeah.
Bird seemed dead to me.
Yeah, I guess that's true. They were manhandling it a lot. You think they would have killed it with how much they were fucking around with it. And I have to imagine when Bobby felt like he had this power, he was probably feeling like,
life don't get much better than this.
He was on top of the world, you know? He had his dad on his side. He brought this bird back to life with the powers of Wimatanye. He's a certified Wimatanye shaman.
We do get that tag scene as the credits roll where Peggy's filing the one off her size 16 shoes.
Yeah.
And claims it's a new microwave.
How does Hank not know it's the same microwave, right? Like, is she actually buying a same microwave? Like, because if Hannah told me, oh, I bought a new microwave, I'd be like, it's the same fucking one. Like, it's got my fingerprints on it. Like, what are you talking about? And two, you think he has to know about her feet, right? Like, he's been married to her for however many years. You think he just knows and he's just choosing not to bring it up or address it or say anything about it?
That's not how it plays, right? It seems like he believes that it's a microwave. And
right. They play it like, yeah, like that's so, but I just can't believe this at all.
Yeah. I wonder what'll come up later with her feet and how aware he'll be. Like the way that Bill and everybody, but like when John Redcorn pulls up and Hank's like, here's your wife's, and Bill's the one who's like, healer. Right? So like they're all kind of playing along with the lie.
Yeah.
And I wonder if it'll be more like that when it comes to Peggy trying to pretend that she doesn't have enormous feet. Like, will Hank seem like he knows that she does and that she's sensitive about it? Although I guess in this case, he doesn't have any reason to think it would have anything to do with her feet. So it is just about, like, does he not understand it's the same microwave? Which makes me think, I don't know, maybe he's just like, she's totally in charge of the domestic indoor stuff, and food just appears on his plate in front of him when it's dinner time, and he's not thinking too much about any of that.
It's totally possible, yeah. I mean, that is totally possible to the microwave thing. And again, like with the feet, he has to know she has big feet, but there's no reason he would know that that's what she was up to or like where she gets her shoes from. Like, he's probably not the kind of guy who's ever going to really think about that otherwise. So I guess it does work out. I mean, poor Peggy, man. I can't wait till she can just get online and buy those shoes and not have to drive in secrecy for 12 hours and get like a motel and everything just to pull off this heist.
There'll probably even be a website that'll package it like sex toys or something.
Discreet
packaging.
packaging for the large-footed woman. Yeah. It seems like such a weird little detail about her, but they do address it in at least one other episode I know of, and I think more. So I like that they'll bring it back. But I don't want to get too much into my final thoughts here. I thought we'd jump on over to our quiz bowl.
Oh, yeah.
Yes.
This one is in the IMDb trivia, which
I have not looked at.
Oh, you haven't? Because that was something you brought up was in there. Maybe you I can't remember what it was.
I was on the
fan wiki.
Yeah, the fan wiki. I don't think I looked at the IMDb.
All right. Well, I was disappointed that this was in there because I was like, oh, I want to be the one to notice that detail and
to find that
wrote
for the
it down.
first time in however many years. Yeah. Almost 30 years.
Well, at the shoe store in Lubbock,
yeah.
Peggy is walking with that dude Brock in the store, and they walk by a wall of signed photographs from famous, apparently big-footed women who have shopped there. And I can make out 5 of the people. Now, there's no way you would be able to name one of them if you didn't notice and care and pay attention to this. You know what I mean?
No, see, and that's the thing, because I realize I don't want to ever say I don't know, because that's not interesting or fun.
Yeah.
And last time I was thinking Whataburger, and I didn't say it. I just said I don't know, and I'm still kicking myself.
Yeah.
So, but that's the thing, is like with a name.
Yeah, I don't mean to set you up with a hard one like this. I did think, like, once I saw it around, and I just love the details so much, so I thought, well, I'll go with this.
Yeah.
But
no, it's all right. That's no, because mine's name related too.
Oh.
Oh shoot, dude. I don't know. I'm gonna say Ann Richards because she shows up in the show later.
Yeah, no. I wonder how big is Ann Richards, right?
I don't take her as like being that tall or any. Or
she might be kind of a handsome woman, so maybe she'd be fair
I
play
think
here.
I think that's how they describe her. Yeah, I don't know. I'm not gonna get it. I don't know.
Well, one of them is Lucy Arnaz, which I assume is. They mean Lucy and Desi's child, who was on a show.
I was just
Lucy.
watching I Love Lucy the other week too. Damn it.
One of them is Jamie Lee Curtis.
Oh, okay.
I'm not sure why she's. I kind of like this is like a bit of a dig, right? Like,
right? Are they just insulting these women, or do they actually have bigger feet?
You know, Jamie Lee Curtis has a bit of a more masculine face, right? Like her features. Like, obviously, she's been able to play sexy ladies and everything. It's not saying she's unattractive, but I guess she might skew a little masculine. Whereas, say, RuPaul, that's the third one I got listed.
Oh, really?
Straight up a dude in drag.
Yeah.
B. Arthur.
My new grandma, B. Arthur.
B. Arthur was Dorothy on Golden Girls. They would make fun of her being a bit of a dude.
Right, okay.
You know, mannish and everything. She didn't like all that. It like really hurt her feelings that they would constantly make fun of her appearance. So that's kind of too bad. And Janet Reno.
Okay, I'm not familiar with that name, but I know everybody else.
She was, Attorney General under Clinton, and also, again, like she was, like Will Ferrell played her on SNL.
Oh.
So it was like that kind of joke.
Okay, so, So I guess, yeah, it seems like they're kind of just taking digs at these ladies.
Yeah.
And RuPaul, I would take it.
Yeah.
Huh. Well, yeah, that's a good question. And like I said, I did see something about that. I just didn't. I should have thought. I was like looking at so many other little details.
You were watching old Spy Balls instead of doing your research on this episode, prepping for your quiz.
I know. If only I had some spy balls on the episode itself, maybe I would have picked up that information. Okay, so my question for you, Rob, I'm 0 for 3 so far.
Oh, goodness.
With Yep. So on the trip, the boys, we had Bobby, Joseph, and Randy, Who was the fourth blonde-haired boy?
See, now you said saying I don't know isn't fun. I don't know. I didn't even know there was a fourth boy. Does he say anything? Wimatanye,
No,
my name is Alex Wimatanye.
He doesn't say anything, but somebody does say his name.
Bobby, Randy, Garth?
Garth.
There was speculation, he looks like Garth from Wayne's World a little bit. Maybe he was modeled after that. I don't know if that's true or not. But yes, his name is Garth. And I actually had two questions here for you in case we did talk about Garth. My second one was, what is Peggy's fake name that she gives? I'll just play the clip for you when she's signing into Motel 7.
I am Senora Gracia Ibanez, and I will be paying in cash.
Senora Gracia Ibanez.
Gracia? Is that a name?
I doubt it. I don't know. I only recognize Ibanez because that's a guitar brand.
Yeah.
Yeah, so
specifically one that a lot of your metal guys would use. Right?
Yeah, that's what Korn were using, man.
Oh yeah.
That was my big interest in metal. So we both didn't get the other guys, so that's all right.
My backup one was, what is Peggy Hill's true shoe size?
Oh, see, that's the thing is in this episode, they don't really address it. In a future episode, one foot is size 16, the other foot is 16 and a half.
Oh, is that right?
Yeah, so she has two different feet sizes. One is bigger. But all right, hey, that's our quiz bowl. Some fun trivia. On to our closing thoughts on this one. Do you want to start, Rob, or do you want me to go?
Yeah, I mean, nothing too profound here for me. Just that I did go in thinking, I don't like this. How do I feel about an episode now? And the same stuff that we've been running into is what makes me like it, right? Like, it does revolve around relationships, and those relationships are defined by who these people are. Mm-hmm. As we grapple with like what you kind of accidentally believe in Hank's case, colliding with who you aspire to be and who you really truly maybe are, right? Mm-hmm. Like, he's a loving father who wants that close relationship, good relationship with his son, and kind of like so far kind of constantly running into this accidental worldview that he has, or like these things he believes in, this sense of reality that he has that, got instilled in him. And if I think of it that way, it's like, well, shit, man, that's what I'm pretty sure all of life amounts to, is like kind of going moment to moment, being like, man, I got a lot of shit in here in my head that got put there.
Yes.
Some people put stuff there on purpose, and then a bunch of it's just, absorbed from a haphazard, insane, demented culture. And I got to figure out how to be well and to be good for others in this life. And like watching Hank navigate that, even in a episode with 39 times they say the same word.
Yes.
That's all. It ended up being good for me. And that then made me think, okay, well, so what about the rating aspect, right? As we go through these episodes, I got to rate it. I enjoyed it way more than I thought. Where do I stand on? So if it turns out that even an episode that I thought I wouldn't like, I like quite a bit, what am I going to fucking give every episode like 4.5 or 5 stars? You know what I mean?
Right. Yeah.
So when it came to the rating, I'm like, look, I got to start at least trying to make the full 5 stars in play, right? I don't know if there'll ever be a time where I'm like, this is a 1-star episode.
Right. And again, this is all relative to King of the Hill.
That's the thing.
Really, yeah.
That's the thing.
So even if it's a 1-star, that doesn't mean it's really a bad thing. It's just not a favorite or whatever.
And I guess I'm not ready to go all the way there where it's like, well, it's just within King of the Hill. But I also can't be like compared to everything else I've ever watched, because like the least favorite King of the Hill episode would still be a 5 or whatever. So I'm coming down on, for my rating, now there are 5 of these whooping cranes left in the world now that Shaman Bobby brought that one back to life.
Yeah, that one back, yeah.
But I don't think I can give this episode 5 whooping cranes. So let me just get my whoop ass stick. I should probably have like sound effects. Let me get rid of one of these whooping. Now, how can I kill half a whooping crane? Because I think I'm going 3.5 out of 5.
You gotta knock it unconscious. Like
I'll knock it unconscious. Perfect. Yeah. I'm going 3.5 out of 5 on this one.
I guess knocking a crane unconscious isn't a crime, although it's probably not good for them.
No, yeah, and that's fair, and that is something that I grapple with too.
I mean, with my other podcast, I kind of have dealt with this where it's like, okay, how do I, because I don't want to give, again, like you said, every episode of 5 or whatever like that, that is a part of it. To this episode, again, it wasn't one of my favorites. It still isn't one of my favorites. It's not one I necessarily want to go back and watch. But of course, doing it on the podcast, I have really come to appreciate it. It's doing a lot of smart things I didn't really pick up on the first time around, or the first however many times around. This is kind of like Square Peg, but for Hank.
Yeah.
Right? Because, again, to Peggy figuring her stuff out in that episode, now we have Hank figuring some stuff out in this episode.
Mm-hmm.
We see the guys have been friends since childhood, and they grew up together, had all these shared memories together. We finally see creepy, sad Bill in full form.
Oh, yeah.
Of course, he does get worse as the series goes on, but we really see him come into form here. We see Dale willing to sell everyone out at the drop of a dime. Like, Dale only cares about himself. And we see Boomhauer with the woman who you would think he wouldn't have gotten with. And we see Bobby's crazy imagination of how far he runs with this, how creative he is with this. It's a very smart episode. Plus, this podcast doesn't really show how strong the whole Peggy thing was, because it is fun the way that cuts in throughout the episode.
Yeah.
So by all means, a really well done episode, a well written episode. For me and Rob, we got into this a lot when we covered Mission Hill. I don't like episodes where characters are stressed out. That's just like something that always turned me away as a kid, and it was the same for this one. So I'm just going to go with my initial reaction here, which again, it's still a very good episode, I think, but I'm going to give this one 2.5 fun savers out of 5. I'm going to put one of those cameras in half, just rip it in half, those cardboard cameras. But I'm going to take a lot of pictures with those cameras, though, the 2 functioning ones, because there is a lot of pictures that can be taken of great moments in this episode. Again, just not one of my favorites, because I mean, look at Square Peg, which was so ridiculous and silly and fun. This one a lot more serious, which I appreciate that the show does, but it's just not for me.
I will say, yeah, I laughed out loud less at this episode.
Yes.
As much as I came to appreciate what it was doing and was pleasantly surprised that I did enjoy it quite a bit. It wasn't enjoying it, like Square Peg, as we said, obviously. So fucking funny over and over again. And this wasn't like that. Not laugh out loud funny, still funny enough. And I really liked what was going on with the characters in this one.
Thank you for listening to us talk about Wimatanye and the shamanic powers that dwell within it. You can find us over at yeppodcast.com. You can find everything on over there. But hey, next time we have a lighter episode. In some ways, I guess. We'll see when we get to it. But we have some golfing leads to Hank meeting his hero, Willie Nelson, which leads to Boomhauer talking to Bob Dylan.
I tell you what, man, you did that dang old Mr. Tambourine Man talk about did come play songs for me, then you change your name to Zimmerman, y'all born again.
Well, a whole bunch of kids coming around, like Mad Dog and Denim, going platinum. Who knows, accounting firms and that dang old Boomhauer.
Dang old Boomhauer. Yeah, and speaking of Minnesota.
Oh, yeah.
Some Bob Dylan there. Yeah. I mean, that's a star-studded episode, for sure. I mean, it is Willie Nelson, but that wasn't Bob Dylan.
No?
No, I don't think it was.
Was it Willie Nelson doing Bob Dylan?
It was. He does a great Dylan. That's what most people don't know about Willie.
I'm excited to see Willie. He's a legend. I'm a little surprised. I mean, we'll get into it, but like Hank loves Willie Nelson, and I guess fair enough. But I'll tell you what, just the other day, I don't know how I stumbled upon some old video from like 1965 of Willie playing on a TV show, and he's got like a haircut, no beard.
Yeah.
Unrecognizable. So I started trying to find videos from each subsequent year to watch the evolution of Willie into the long-haired, pigtail, beard hippie that we all know with the bandana on his head and everything.
Yeah.
So I couldn't quite piece together on YouTube the caveman to upright Homo sapien or whatever evolutionary chart. But anyway, so Willie's an interesting figure, and I'm glad he'll be around, and I'll be curious to see what all goes on with these characters that have proven so far to be really rewarding to pay attention to.
Right, yeah. And not just a celebrity cameo episode. Also, we have some guitar talk, some music talk. This episode, we had some Ibanez. Next episode, we'll have some real guitars, so I'm really looking forward to that.
Yep.
Yep.